Okay, the proposition that I'm refuting is social media has significant negative effects on individuals. I'm not denying that this happens, but I'm arguing that how the argument presents her claim about this topic. Her secondary claims is one, consistent utilization of social media can negatively influence an individual's health. Two, social media has significantly increased cyberbullying. And three, social media trends and challenges negatively affect or have impact on an individual. Going on with her first claim, or secondary claim, she mainly focuses on how social media platforms are an addiction to an individual, meaning a result of a hormone called dopamine, which is the more you do it or the more you like it, the more likely you'll be doing it. While she mainly focused on that, there are actually more negative influences that affect an individual other than it being addictive. An article by a lifestyle writer for The Independent who focused on social issues and well-being named Sabrina Barr, which was made in January 2019, she states that there are other effects that lead to a negative impact of an individual, such as self-esteem, attention, human connection, sleep disturbance, and mental health. All this relate towards mental health and is similar to addiction. With self-esteem, people who obtain social media platforms, they want to make their posts or the pictures perfect, resulting to boosting their self-confidence, which is like a positive reinforcement. And even if there's nothing, or there's something that they don't like about the photo, it results into insecurities, which is a lack of confidence. And with attention, it leads to temptation, meaning that most of your attention will be provided or mainly focused on your phone. Human connections with social media platforms, they create this digital illusion that isn't focused on their real life personas. With sleep disturbance, with phones, sometimes when we're trying to go to sleep or having a notification, we tend to look at our phones, which the lighting of our devices actually suppresses the release of this hormone called melatonin, which is, it helps us to feel tired. And with all that, it would go towards with mental health, which is connected to her second claim of how it could cause anxiety and depression. With the second example of her first claim, there's a online company that focuses on supplying their products that enhances their focus, reduces stress, and more on health and beauty, which their organization is called NeuroGum. Their article is mainly focused on body images, saying that social media platforms portrays unrealistic and unattainable ideal bodies, which they state in their article that in recent years, psychologists discovered strong evidence linking social media being used to show negative body images, objectification, to show what they appear, and eating disorders in teenagers, which many teenagers are bulimic. Going on with her second claim, she indicates that 74% of individuals are being cyberbullied. Even though she states that, it's kind of a broad statement. She says that there are other abusive online behaviors that connect with social cyberbullying, but she doesn't indicate how much are being affected by them. An article by an editorial assistant for a online magazine called Slate. Her name was Rachel Hampton. With that article, she released a survey that revealed that 59% of U.S. teens have personally experienced at least one form of abusive online behavior, and with that, she shows 6 forms. One is online offensive name calling, which has 42%, physical threats, which has 10%, spreading false rumors, which is 32%, having explicit images, and sharing without consent results with 10%, receiving explicit images that they didn't ask for. It happens, they've been affected by 25%, and being stalked by other than their parents, it has 21%. Going along with her third point, it's kind of similar to her first point, which is how social media trends and challenges have negatively impacted an individual. Many of her examples that she provided is out of date, and they're insufficient because the range of the evidence were from 2013 and 2015. But if they were relevant and up to date, they do concern individual health. For the first challenge, she talked about the cinnamon challenge. An article by David Kroll states that with this challenge, as you engulf a whole teaspoon of cinnamon, it actually has caustic chemicals, and it's very indigestible, which meaning it's hard to breathe and can particularly damage the lungs. And then for the second evidence she provided, talks about the Kylie Jenner challenge, which she didn't go much about how this impacted an individual, other than that it numbs or bruises the lips. But when you put the cup on top of your lips, it creates a vacuum, which breaks your blood vessels, causes a laceration, and resulting in stitching. And for third evidence, it talks about the Charlie challenge. There wasn't many significant evidence about it, other than it being related to the Ouija board or Bloody Mary. In conclusion, with her explaining that consistent utilization of social media can negatively influence an individual's health, although she talks about addiction, there are more negative impacts to an individual. And for a second one, social media has significantly increased cyberbullying, even though she states that there are 74% that individuals are being impacted. It was kind of broad and wasn't sufficient at how she explained it. And three, social media trends and challenges negatively have impacted an individual. Even though they do affect it, it was out of date and irrelevant. Thank you.
Well, this is like one of the arguments that we heard earlier. This is basically the second affirmative version of the argument. The advocate presents this argument that says social media is bad, and you come back and say, well, they only focused on addiction. Social media is bad in these other ways also, which doesn't deny the original claim, doesn't diminish the original claim, just suggests an additional reason to believe the primary proposition. So it doesn't really accomplish very much. Your general criticisms about the advocate's reasoning on the other points is not too different from that. In fact, on the second point, you talk about bullying, and all you do is provide additional statistical support for the bullying. So it's more an extension of the original argument than it is a response to the argument. There's no explanation about why there's a controversy here. Both of you agree that social media sucks when it comes to the rest of our lives. It does bad things. You just have different things that you're complaining about. So why is there a conflict here? I have no idea. It just doesn't seem to meet the requirements of the assignment here. I appreciate that you found some extra evidence here on those issues. The research is interesting, but when it comes to the goal of the response, you're not meeting the basic expectation of the assignment here. All right. Thank you.